An inquest has been opened into the death of a man whose body lay undiscovered in a back garden in South Wales for nearly 2 decades. It's thought John Sabine was murdered by his wife Leigh, who herself died last October.
In the quiet Welsh village of Bedow, a woman lived among her neighbours for nearly 2 decades, her wigs bright, her stories wild, and her garden shed concealing a secret no one could have imagined. She called herself a free spirit, a woman of mystery. But behind the colourful facade lay a darker truth, wrapped in plastic, concealed beneath layers of lies. This is the story of Leigh Sabine. For 18 years, she kept her dead husband closer than anyone ever knew. Welcome to the Deadly Diaries, where we dive into the darkest corners of true crime. January 2015. The neighbours of Leigh Sabine were still reeling from her recent death. The 74-year-old had passed away in October, cancer-riddled, living alone in a modest 2-bedroom council flat in Bedow, South Wales. Leigh had been a familiar figure in the village, eccentric, chatty, full of stories. She left her possessions to a friend and specified exactly how she wanted her apartment cleared. While sorting through her belongings, 2 friends remembered Leigh mentioning a medical skeleton stored in her garden shed, a leftover from her day's training as a nurse. Amused and curious, they decided to play a harmless joke, pretending the skeleton was a new boyfriend for one of their friends. But as they carefully cut through thick layers of wrapping, the atmosphere shifted. A strong, rotting smell filled the air, like compost. Beneath layers of heavy roofing felt, shopping bags, and bin liners tied with green string, lay the decomposed body of John Sabine, dressed in Marks and Spencer pajamas. Forensic experts would later reveal the body had undergone partial chemical mummification, a rare and chilling preservation amid decay. John Sabine had been missing since 1997, hidden in plain sight for 18 years, and concealed by the woman who had charmed an entire community. John Sabine, an accountant and Korean War veteran, was 67 when he was last seen alive at their home in Bedow, near Pontypridd. But the story of John and Leigh Sabine spans decades and continents. In the 1960s, the couple emigrated from the UK to New Zealand. They made headlines as runaway parents after abandoning their 5 children at a state-run nursery in Auckland in 1969. With no family ties in New Zealand, the couple fled their children and moved to Perth. They resurfaced in 1984, claiming poverty had kept them in Western Australia and expressing a desperate wish to reunite with their now adult children. Leigh told the Auckland Star they had only recently earned enough to return. But this story was quickly disproven. Acquaintances revealed that during the early 1970s, the couple had been living under assumed names, Leigh and John Martin, in New Zealand's Wairarapa region. They worked odd jobs, including importing show dogs and at an American cigarette company. Leigh Sabine was a woman of contradictions. To her neighbours in Bedow, she was vibrant, eccentric, with bright orange nails and an impeccable sense of style, even in her final days, but her past was tangled in mystery. She told different stories to different people, sometimes claiming she had no children, other times confessing to abandoning 5 in New Zealand. Leigh claimed to be Kiwi-born, but she was actually Welsh, abandoned by her mother as a child, and shuffled through relatives and state care. At 17, she met John in a London hospital. He was 11 years her senior, already married with 2 children. When Leigh became pregnant, they ran away together, married, and emigrated to New Zealand with their growing family. In 1969, Leigh left her children behind to pursue a singing career in Western Australia with John. The dream was short-lived. By 1972, they returned to New Zealand under false names. In the 1980s, the couple briefly reunited with their children, but the reunion was short-lived. They soon expelled their 2 youngest children, and 19-year-old Jane faced abuse allegations. Leigh was to be the key witness, but when the witness disappeared, charges were dropped. Shortly after, John and Leigh told neighbours they were going up north on holiday. They never returned. Instead, they resurfaced in the UK. John and Leigh moved into a modest council flat in Bedow in 1997, signing a joint tenancy weeks before John was last seen. Within a year, John's name was quietly removed from the tenancy. He vanished, without a trace. Leigh lived alone, eccentric but charming, while hiding a dark secret just yards away. After John disappeared, Leigh entered a turbulent relationship with retired fireman Derek Ellis. Though reports suggested Ellis also went missing after their breakup, his daughter confirmed he died in 2010 from alcoholic liver disease. In 2000, John's son Martin took his own life. For the first time since the disappearance, the Sabine children reached out to their parents. Jane Sabine recalls a final phone call with her mother. Leigh told her John had died and chillingly admitted she never truly loved him. Jane never heard from her mother again. At the Aberdare coroner's court inquest, a chilling confession emerged. In 1997, during a phone call to her friend Valerie Chalkley, Leigh admitted killing John. Mrs. Chalkley recalled joking with Leigh, "I thought you two would have killed each other by now." Leigh responded, "You know what you just said about killing him? I've killed him with a stone frog I kept by the side of the bed." Mrs. Chalkley said, "The problem with Anne was you never knew if she was telling the truth or not." Leigh described John as jealous and possessive, a man whose behavior drove her mad. Forensic pathologist Dr. Richard Jones testified that a single blow from a 1.1 kilogram, 14 centimeter stone object could explain all of John's skull fractures. Coroner Andrew Barkley declared it was beyond doubt that foul play caused John's death, the blunt force trauma matching the evidence of the stone frog. Sabine died without ever confessing. The case of John and Leigh Sabine is a haunting reminder of how darkness can lurk behind closed doors, where love turns to violence and secrets fester for decades. A husband killed in cold blood, his body hidden away by the very person he trusted most. A wife whose stories blurred the lines between truth and deceit, leaving a trail of pain and unanswered questions. Though the full story may never be known, the shadow of this tragedy warns us, sometimes the deadliest dangers come not from strangers, but from those closest to us. The revelation of what Leigh had hidden shook those who knew her, close friends who had shared laughter and confidences, and a community that had welcomed her as one of their own. Neighbors spoke of feeling betrayed, grappling with the question of how someone could live beside a secret so grim for nearly 2 decades without raising suspicion. For the community of Beddoe, they were left wondering how well they really knew their neighbor and what other secrets might be waiting just beneath the surface. In this quiet community, the echoes of Sabine's dark past still linger, a chilling reminder that sometimes the dead don't just tell no tales, they stay silent for years. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Deadly Diaries. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to stay connected with stories that matter. And remember, if you or someone you know is in danger, please seek help. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and never stop asking why.